If you can give me a good reason why Legends Arceus is a bad Pokemon game, I'll give you 50 bucks. I think most people have been singing the praises of Pokemon Legends Arceus since it dropped 6 months ago, but there is a decent amount of people in my YouTube comments that say that they don't like it or that it's a bad game. So I figured, why not put your money where your mouth is? Literally, and tell me why for a chance to earn some cash. I put out a community post asking for replies, and this is what I got. I would love to do another episode of this with a different topic, so if you want to be there, make sure you subscribe. And also go ahead and follow me at PurpleThunderNE on Twitter, because I'll probably do it there. It'll probably be a little easier than the YouTube community post, whatever. Once you end the game, there isn't much to do anymore since there isn't online battling. It blows my mind that people say there's nothing to do once you do everything in the game. You could say that about every fucking video game on planet Earth. Other Pokemon games have things like breeding and grinding the battle tower because they're supposed to feed into you playing online once you've completed the game. And this isn't a game where you do things online, so once you do everything in the single player, there you go. You're good. I think it is a decent critique to talk about how there is no online interactions once you've completed the game, no battling. But that's because the end game content is different in this game. It's not less, it's just you do something else. You're doing things like completing the Pokedex to catch Arceus, doing all the legendary quests to find all these different Pokemon in different spots of the world, instead of farming people on the ladder. Legends Arceus is an alpha version of Scarlet and Violet? No, it's fucking not. I don't know why people say that. People keep talking about how Legends Arceus is like the precursor to Scarlet and Violet, even though if anything, we have way more confirmation that Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet are like super separate. We know Scarlet and Violet doesn't have real-time captures. We know it has gyms, so it's going to be more focused on battling. So it's a traditional Pokemon game. We also know it has a more multiplayer focus, which everyone is complaining that Legends Arceus has no multiplayer. So why are people using the fact that Legends Arceus is like some sort of beta version of Scarlet and Violet against it when that's not even true in the first place? The trees could still look better. All right, dude. Doesn't have Charizard. All right, dude. I don't like Enamorus. Could be onto something here. I had no attachment to any of my Pokemon in Legends Arceus. I was not motivated to cultivate a strong team because the battles were so spread apart and the focus was in wild encounters. Normally in a Pokemon game, I think most people will agree, you kind of settle on a team of 6, including your starter and whoever else you catch, sometimes the box legendary towards the end of the game, and that's your squad. You roll deep with them for the 20+ hour experience through the main story. Legends Arceus is nowhere near like that. You're gonna have probably your starter and then who the fuck knows on your team. You're going to be catching things left and right, switching things out. Maybe you'll find a super OP alpha Pokemon out in the wild. And I think this is a decent point to talk about. It's much different than a normal Pokemon game, but I don't think that makes it bad. I think the idea of getting to use a lot of Pokemon you never would in a normal playthrough is pretty interesting. And it's not because of an artificial reason like Sword and Shield because they just cut out all the Pokemon from the decks. This actually gives you a reason that you would want to switch things out because there's so many things out in the world. It's so easy to catch Pokemon. In this game, you see everything in the overworld. You say, that is a cool ass Pokemon. I need them on my team. And at the same time, it's easier than ever to actually take a Pokemon that you just caught and make it really good. There isn't one. Well, I mean, there's enough people telling me this game is bad, so there's got to be a good reason out here somewhere. Repetitive structure. Do you think normal Pokemon games are not repetitive? Pokemon is one of the most repetitive, monotonous franchises out there. Every game is almost the exact same down to a T. You do the exact same thing for the last 25 years. That is the definition of repetition. It's kind of bars right there. And another thing people don't realize, being repetitive doesn't have to be bad. Every video game is repetitive. To some extent, every single video game has something that you repeatedly do throughout the 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 hour experience. It's just whether or not you enjoy what you have to repeatedly do. Some people enjoy catching Pokemon. In fact, a lot of people enjoy catching Pokemon. So for the people who say this game is too repetitive, you catch too many Pokemon, I could look at a normal Pokemon game and say, this game is too repetitive. You battle too many trainers that have dog shit teams. It's all perspective. Pokemon Legends Arceus is a soup of new and innovative ideas that, due to a lack of proper thought and polish, end up not reaching their full potential and highlights the lack of care Game Freak had for the entry in the Pokemon franchise. I think this is a really good point. This is only a problem because of Pokemon's kind of legacy. The last 25 years, the games have been the exact same prior to Legends Arceus, so they are completely polished. They are polished clean every single time. But that's because they have 25 years of hindsight. Every time something happens, they can clean up the mechanics, make sure every feature is fully thought out. Now Legends Arceus comes into the picture, changes everything, and it only has a couple years of dev time rather than 25 years of prior buildup. So I think when you compare Legends Arceus to previous Pokemon games, yes, this is something against it. It just doesn't have the full, thorough polish on a lot of the features and ideas that it has in it, even though a lot of the ideas are really cool and could be really great in future games. I like this comment. This is a winner. The graphics, oh brother. Okay, I'm skipping that comment. The graphics. It's a bad Pokemon game because of the graphics. This would have been good if the graphics would have been better. I've talked about it many times that this game is not even up to par with a lot of Switch games, but I'm asking why it's a bad Pokemon game. I've never looked at a Pokemon game and been like, God damn, that looks good. So Legends Arceus, in fact, fits in with the rest of the Pokemon games because of that reason. There's a disappointing lack of replayability. There's nothing to do in the post-game other than fill up the decks and shiny hunt. And there was no DLC or future updates to add more variety to the gameplay. I think it is a really great point to talk about the lack of replayability of Legends Arceus. Typically in a Pokemon game, they're very valuable for a gamer because you're going to be able to replay it a bunch with a different team, a different setup, or potentially even different routes in some games for how you're going to tackle the gyms. Legends Arceus is not that type of game. You're pretty much going to have your one playthrough where you try to do everything. You try to complete the Pokedex, do all the quests, catch Arceus, etc. So I think that's a good point of why it might be a bad Pokemon game, because usually Pokemon fans are pretty used to replaying the game with a different team and trying to do something else. However, I think the rest of this person's arguments are not great. Saying there's nothing to do in the post game other than fill up the decks and shiny hunt is usually what you do in a Pokemon game anyways. So yeah, I think they had one big decent point here, but the rest of it kind of falls apart. You gotta buy 2 mediocre remake Pokemon games just to catch a bundle of flowers and have a nightmare not worth. Okay, all right, we're not gonna write off all of Legends Arceus because you wanted to catch Darkrai and Shaman, which aren't even a part of the decks. You can complete the decks without them. But it is kind of trash that, you know, you have to have these 2 quests locked behind buying other games. As a tradition with Pokemon, we've got plenty of cut features. It's only minor things though, thankfully, like online play, abilities, held items, numerous moves. I think it's unfair to say Legends Arceus is a bad Pokemon game because of these cut features. This is like looking at Pokemon Mystery Dungeon and saying, wow, this is a trash Pokemon game because I can't battle online. The gameplay and the systems involved in Legends Arceus are so different than previous Pokemon games that it's hard to just on paper look at the features list and be like, damn, they cut out held items? That's crazy. And while I do think it would be nice to have more variety on the Pokemon-like abilities and held items, I don't think this makes it a bad Pokemon game per se. It's a wannabe Breath of the Wild. Oh, brother. Okay, all right. With an opener like that, I know it's just like a shock and awe type of statement, but I'm hard pressed to decide what the fuck is similar between Legends Arceus and Breath of the Wild. The fact that they're both like cell-shaded games on the Switch? Stuff like the Pokemon hardly interacting with the environment or the lore aspect being very underwhelming and not expanding on that much what was already established in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. I think this is actually a really cool point that this person's brought up and I haven't heard before. For a game that's titled Legends Arceus, you really don't get that much lore besides like the plates that you're gonna read a little paragraph on. It would have been nice to get more information on the other parts of the region. I mean, stuff like the Shaman event is really cool. It's a direct reference to someone talking about how Floroma Town was started by one flower and a Pokemon or whatever. I wish we got more things like that. I really like this comment. This is another winner right here. I'm personally not a fan of Legends Arceus. There isn't enough of a focus on battles or traditional Pokemon game elements for my liking. I mean, yeah, okay, that's up to you, homie. The Pokemon themselves don't do anything special. They often just idle in place, walk around, or sleep. This is true, and there are a few highlights of Pokemon that interact with you in certain ways. I think of Blissey healing the player when you're hurt. Generally, Pokemon just kind of sit around and do nothing. The beginning of PLA feels like a tutorial for the post-game. The main story felt like you're being dragged along to do the work of others, until finally you get multiple quests at the end to tackle at your own discretion. This is actually a really interesting point, and usually when I think about this, I think about it positively. I tell people, wow, this post game is so great. You have so many options, there's so many quests, and there's a lot of story to still tackle once the game is done. You can definitely look at it with the perspective of the base game is so bad you have to wait to the post game to finally get some freedom to explore the region. I definitely think the base game should have acted more like the post game where you have so many routes to go and you have so much choice in how you're going to explore the world. I like this comment because it brought up a couple of points that I haven't really thought of before, so this is a winner right here. Pokemon fans will never be happy, change my mind. In the next Scarlet and Violet presentation, you could show me a Mega Evolution. You could show me a new Evolution where Eevee is green, and I'll pop right out of this chair. It's really not that hard to get us excited. I'm a greedy fucker. I up B for no reason. It's cause I'm a piece of shit. I don't know how to play this game. I just press buttons and hope for the best.